أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب الله العالمين، سيدنا وسندنا وشفيع ذنوبنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، الحجة بن الحسن، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما أعظكم بواحدة أن تقوموا لله مثنى وفرادى وتتفكروا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. To hasten the reappearance of our 12th and awaited Imam and to welcome this blessed month of Ramadan, please recite with the loudest of voices the salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. O people, the month of Ramadan, the month of Allah, has approached with His blessings and mercy. This month, which is the best of months, its days are the best of days, its nights are the best of nights, and its hours are the best of hours. This month in which your sleep is considered as a form of worship and your breathing is considered as a form of glorification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the words that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam began with in his sermon in welcoming the holy month of Ramadan. He says, أنفاسكم فيه تسبيح. Your breathing is considered as a form of glorification of Allah. وَنَوْمُكُمْ فِيهِ عِبَادَةً. And your sleep is considered as a form of worship. Now, you may tell me, I'm sleeping, I'm breathing. Does this make any difference? Allah says the month of Ramadan has been given such a high importance, has been given such a status by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Rasulullah comes and says, the fact that you're breathing, exhaling, inhaling air, this is considered as a form of glorification, tasbih. You know when we do tasbih after salah, bismillah, bismillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Breathing in Ramadan is considered as a form of tasbih. Not only that, but your sleep is considered as a form of worship. Does this mean you should sleep all day? No. Does this mean when it comes time for dhuhr, I can sleep and this is considered as salat al-dhuhr? No, no, no. Rasulullah says Allah is opening His door of rahmah in this universe. Allah is opening the door of mercy, the door of ghufran, once it comes time for Ramadan. To the extent that by the words of Rasulullah himself, what does he say? He says Ramadan is a month in which the devils are chained. Meaning, throughout Ramadan, if you commit a sin, understand it's not because of shaitan. Shaitan is chained. Shaitan is incarcerated. Shaitan is gone. That if I wish to sin in the month of Ramadan, it's not because of shaitan. It's because of my own nafs al-ammara. It's because of my own self. Because Allah is saying this month of Ramadan is purely and solely a mercy for you. Now if shaitan was there, somebody can come and argue, Ya Allah, shaitan was there. How do you expect me not to sin? He says, no, I remove shaitan. I purified you from the presence, from the rijs, and from the occupation of shaitan, so that you have no reason not to turn to me in this holy month. He says devils are being chained. The doors of paradise are open and will never close in the month of Ramadan. And the doors of hellfire are closed and will never open. And the doors of paradise are opened and will never close. These are the words of Rasulullah in welcoming the holy month of Ramadan. Here we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making it clear that these are the days of opportunity. If I have any shortcomings, if I have any flaws, if I have any mistakes, nobody here is perfect. Beginning with me, the most imperfect person sitting here in this majlis. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has his flaws. That even if Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib himself in Dua Kamil says, ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي, I have oppressed myself, then who are you and I to come and claim to be these infallible creations of Allah? No, no, no. Allah comes and says, each one of you have sins. Yet this month is an open window, an opportunity for you to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That every human being is a sinner, and the greatest of sinners are the ones who turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You find that Ramadan is a month where you and I strive to reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And notice why I said reconnect and not connect. Because for me to say it's a time, it's a moment for us to connect with Allah, this will imply that we were never connected with Allah and we're striving to connect with Him. But when I say it's a time to reconnect, this implies there was once a moment where you and I knew Allah, where you and I were connected to Allah, where you and I had ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet we drifted away from it slowly, slowly, slowly. And I'm referring to the fitrah of mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created every single human being with a fitrah, innate disposition to know right from wrong. Where He refers to it in the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله فأقم وجهك للدين حنيفا فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله. The nature of Allah, which He has created every human being by, and the creations of Allah can never be altered. Allah is making it clear, brothers and sisters, that He has created us from a specific substance. He has created us from a specific nature. This nature is pure, that the worst of human beings today bring them forward, and Allah says He has been created with a nature like the rest of you. The same nature that the prophets were created with is the same nature that you and I have been created with. Saddam, Hitler, the worst of the worst, all have been created with a pure nature. Now you may tell me, if everybody has been created with a pure nature, why do people sin? Why is there mishavoc? Why is there corruption, oppression? Today, for example, in Bahrain, corruption taking place like never before. Shia being killed left and right. Today in Palestine, Shia being killed. Today in Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan, Shia are being run after like never before, simply because his name is Haidar, off with his head. Simply because his name is Ali, simply because her name is Fatima, kill her. You may tell me, what kind of nature are you referring to? If wherever we go today in the world we find oppression, we find dhulm, Allah says yes. The key is that I created you with a nature. I created you with a fitrah. Yet due to your free will, due to your own sins and shortcomings, you slowly, slowly drift away from this fitrah. You slowly begin to separate from this nature of Allah. It's just like somebody in an ocean. He's sitting on a raft and he's close to shore. He drifts away one day. He drifts away a second day. He drifts away a third day until he realizes it's impossible to go back to the shore. You and I sometimes become like this person in the middle of the sea. We're on this raft of a pure nature, of a pure disposition. We go on this raft, it drifts away slowly, slowly, and before we know it, we look back, Allahu Akbar, how am I supposed to go back to this fitrah? It's impossible. Why? Because we're building a barrier. We're building, what? A coat of sins, a coat of shortcomings, a coat of dhunub, that once I look back, subhanallah, that I begin to sin, and I don't feel guilty when I sin. One of the biggest problems, brothers and sisters, isn't sinning. Put sinning on the side. It's sinning and not feeling guilty when I sin. Now it's one thing doing something against Allah. Now even more dangerous scenario is that not only don't you feel anything, but you feel happy when you begin to sin. This is really, really bad. That I miss Salat al-Subuh, I feel guilty. Alhamdulillah, no problem. I can redo it. I feel guilt inside my heart and I repeat the Salah. Yeah, it's another story. When I pray Salat al-Subuh, I don't feel the effect. This is the second degree. Yet the third effect, the third degree, the third station is that I miss Salat al-Subuh and I'm happy. I remember when I first went to high school, it was in 10th grade, I believe. You know, when you go to high school, brothers and sisters, let's be honest here, let's not sound like we're all holy and angelic. No. We get affected by the environment. We go, we see girlfriends, we see boyfriends, we see people without hijab, we see tight dressing. We see all of this in front of our eyes, and this is part of the ibtila of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, the problem is that when you're put in this scenario and you begin to become affected by it. I remember I would go back home. Slowly, slowly, I would begin to notice that I'm beginning to miss Salatul Subuh. Right? I miss it. And I was smart. My father would tell me, Ali, wake up. I wouldn't tell him, no, Dad, I'm not waking up. I would go by the door. I would shout, Allahu Akbar, and I'll jump back in bed. This is a problem. When you begin to become smart, when you begin to become mischievous in finding ways of how to fool your father, and it works, this is a big problem. So you find slowly we begin to drift away from this fitrah. Yet this fitrah is always there. Whether you leave it, whether you corrupt it, whether you forget that it's there, it's always there. But the problem is that we overshadow it. We bury it. Allah says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Allah says, by the soul and its proportion given to it. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. And He inspired it good and righteousness, but evil and good, evil and righteousness. فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Successful is he who refines it. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Not evil is one who destroys it. No, no, no. Not evil is one who gets rid of it. Not evil is one who forgets it's there. Evil is the one who buries it. Dassaha. There's another verse in the Quran that says, أَمْ يَدُسُّهُ فِي التُّرَابِ, speaking about the one who, when he finds out that he has a girl, his wife has been given birth to a girl, out of his embarrassment, out of his khajla, what does he do? He buries the girl, so that nobody knows that he's been given birth to a female. Because in that time, they would bury infants easily. Girl, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنبٍ قُتِلَتْ. The word is what? Dassaha. يَدُسُّهُ فِي التُّرَابِ, buries it. So when Allah says, وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا, He's implying that you can never destroy this fitrah. You can never destroy this pure nature that Allah creates within you, but you can bury it. You can drift away from it. You overshadow it. That's why Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he says that, Allahumma salli ala. He says that the heart of each mu'min begins white. When you commit a sin, a black dot is placed on this heart. When you commit another sin, a second dot is placed on this heart. A third, a fourth, a fifth. Until you reach such a level that your heart becomes totally black. And that's when you try to cry, just like me when I'm reciting dua, it's difficult to cry. You say, Ya Allah, why aren't these tears coming down? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, مَا جَفَّتِ الدُّمُوعِ إِلَّا لِقَسْوَةِ الْقُلُوبِ. He says, hearts or tears cease to drop from your eyes. Why? Because your heart has become hard. قَسْوَةِ الْقَلْبِ. Ramadan is a time to soften our heart. Ramadan is a time to soften those sharp edges that you and I have. Everybody has sins, brothers and sisters. But the month of Ramadan is a moment where Allah says the door is open. It's your choice. You want to come back? I'm there. Take one step towards me. I take 10 steps towards you. He says, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. He says, say, oh my servants. Notice how Allah speaks to even those who are still committing sins. He doesn't say, oh my enemy. He doesn't say, oh my oppressor, or the one who's taken advantage of my mercy. He says, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِي, oh my servant. He's still maintaining this beautiful relationship. Nowadays, if your husband and your wife does one thing against you, that's it, she's your arch enemy. She doesn't cook the biryani the way you want it to be, that's it. Game over. Or she doesn't wake you up for work, that's it. Allah says, no, you may have done the worst of things. I'm still there, my door is still open. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Look at the language of Allah. Do we speak like this with each other? No way. Come here, man, what are you doing? I'm going to kill you if you don't. This is how we speak with each other. Allah says, listen, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Say, O my servants who have acted extravagantly against themselves. لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Don't despair from the mercy of Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. This fitrah is always there. And this fitrah has been beautifully highlighted by the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was searching for Allah. Because as you know, Ibrahim lived in a time where people used to worship nature. People used to worship the sun. People used to bow down in front of the stars. They used to take these and appoint them as deities. Ibrahim's fitrah began to bother him. Ibrahim's fitrah said, impossible for me to worship something that disappears, for me to worship something that's there at one time, I come back, it's not there again. Impossible. This can't be Allah. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلِ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. Ibrahim alayhi salam was walking. He's seen a star. Some narrations put it that he saw Venus. رَأَى كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. He says, this is my Lord. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. Once it disappeared, he said, I don't love that which disappears. How did he come to a conclusion that something that disappears can never be Allah? His fitrah was telling him. He keeps on walking. What does he see? He sees the moon. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغَةً. He's seen the moon shining, glistening with light. He says, this is my Lord. He came back the next day. He saw the moon wasn't there. He said, إِنِّي لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. I don't like that which disappears. He keeps on going. He sees the sun. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسِ. He says, هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. This is my Lord. It's much bigger. It disappeared. He said, what's going on? What's the situation? The sun is gone. The stars are gone. The moon is gone. This can't be Allah. Notice how his fitrah began to tell him. He didn't go and read a book. He didn't go and enter a Hawza class. No. His fitrah began to tell him something that disappears can never be able to be Allah. But the beautiful thing about the Holy Quran, brothers and sisters, is that we can take one story of the Quran and extract countless blessings and countless lessons from it. Ibrahim is illustrating and depicting for you and I an unbelievable lesson. Number one, 3 lessons can be extracted from the story. Number one, if you want Allah, you have to search for Him. Many of us want Allah. Ya Allah, where are you? Ya Allah, why aren't you intervening in my life? Why aren't you making everything so beautiful? Allah says, you have to search for me. That's everything around me. If I look at it, if I contemplate at it, if I look through the surface, I will see Allah. That's why Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, مَا رَأَيْتُ شَيْئًا إِلَّا وَرَأَيْتُ اللَّهِ فِيهِ قَبْلَهُ وَبَعْدَهُ. Look at the certainty of Ali ibn Abi Talib. On one hand, Musa alayhi salam, he says, قَالَ رَبِّي أَرِنِي أَنظُرُ إِلَيْكَ. Oh my Lord, let me see you. Compare Musa to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali says, I haven't seen anything except if I've seen Allah in it, with it, before and after it. He says, مَا رَأَيْتُ شَيْئًا إِلَّا وَرَأَيْتُ اللَّهِ فِيهِ قَبْلَهُ بَعْدَهُ. Now tell me, how was Ali ibn Abi Talib able to see everything and see Allah in it, with it, after it, before it? Because Ali ibn Abi Talib was searching for Allah. Ibrahim went out searching for Allah. Number one, if you want Allah, you have to begin to search for Him. Practically, not only with emotion. How many times have you seen people, I love Imam Hussein, I love Fatima al-Zahra, and I'll beat my chest day and night for the son of Fatima. The minute I leave the masjid, I forget everything about Imam Hussein. I begin to curse, I begin to backbite, I begin to speak about the brothers that were just doing nawha with me. Right? What does Allah say? Allah says this is what you call emotional love. Because when it comes to Ahlul Bayt, you have 2 kinds of love. You have the emotional love, love in which I'll come and remember Imam Hussein. The minute I leave the masjid, close the doors, that's it, I forget him and come back the following year and remember him once again. And then you have what you call practical love. Love in which I say Imam Hussein was a character. Imam Hussein is somebody great and I want to be like him. There's a big difference. That I seen Imam Hussein do something, I want to do exactly what he did. I seen Imam Hussein say, hayhat min al-dhillah. Never will I be humiliated. Today, as a Muslim, I can never be humiliated. I see people in Bahrain being killed, I go against it. This becomes practical. This becomes in a way which I'm searching for Ahlul Bayt with practicality. Number one, I have to search for Allah if I want to find Him. Ibrahim shows to you and I. Number two, Ibrahim shows that Allah can be found throughout nature. Ibrahim alayhi salam was walking. He sees the sun, he sees the moon, he sees the star. He directly linked the nature to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when confronting nature, there's two ways you can deal with it. You can see it, and you can use it as a barrier between you and Allah. I don't know about here in Texas, but if you go to California, for example, or you go to Michigan, we have the Great Lakes, beautiful oceans. There's two ways you can deal with such beautiful sights. You can say, this ocean is beautiful, let me indulge in it, let me have a nice time, and go back home. Yeah, there's a second person who comes, he passes by, he sees this lake, he sees this ocean, he sees a beautiful creation of Allah, he directly links it to Allah. He says, the creation is so beautiful. Then how beautiful is the Creator? He links it. الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض. They think. They use their aql. This aql is usually stored and only used when we have exams. Always use this aql. ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض. Not only that, they looked at the creation and they came with a conclusion. ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. They say, oh my Lord, you have not created this in vain. Notice how they became practical with it. ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. They look at the creations and they link it to Allah, number two. And number three, and of the utmost importance, Ibrahim understood that he had a fitrah, but he wanted to maintain it. How did he maintain it? Through certainty. Through yaqeen. Many of us come and say, brother, okay, you're right, I have this fitrah, everything is nice. How do I maintain it? How do I take advantage of it? How do I invest in this fitrah of mine? Allah says, feed it with certainty. You may tell me, how do I attain certainty? Number one, we learn from Ibrahim, you have to ask questions. I tell you, brothers and sisters, one of the most unfortunate things is that sometimes you go into a community and you find certain youth asking questions. Like, for example, I don't believe in Allah. Prove to me the existence of Allah. I've seen many teachers who get mad at him and say, leave, you can never come back again. For example, he asks, I don't believe in the Khilafah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. The reason sometimes why we don't answer, because a religion that forbids certain questions from being asked is a religion that knows its foundation is shaky. If I had an answer to every question, I would confidently tell him, come here, please, brother. May Allah bless you for such a question. Let me explain it to you. This is the situation, and he'll leave feeling more tranquil and more comfortable than other. You find, ask questions, always. That somebody, for example, was walking, the descendants of our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, by the name of Hisham. Hisham was one of the companions of our sixth Imam. Hisham is walking, and an atheist comes to him. He tells him, you claim to be a God believer, correct? He tells him, yes, I believe in God. He tells him, then I have a question for you and this God of yours. He tells him, go ahead. Notice, the most bizarre questions were answered with logic and rationale through Ahlul Bayt. He comes to him and he asks him, can this God of yours fit this universe into an egg without the egg getting bigger and without the universe getting smaller? Honestly, if somebody came, for example, if we have Q&A and somebody asks me such a question, I'll just ignore him. I'll say, next question, anybody else? I'd ignore him. Somebody comes to Hisham and he tells him, can this Lord of yours fit this universe into an egg without the egg getting bigger and without the universe getting smaller? Hisham didn't know how to answer it. Who does he go back to? Sixth Imam. He tells him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, somebody has just came and posed me a difficult question. Not only is it difficult, but it's bizarre. He tells him, what's the question? He tells him, is your Lord able to fit this universe into an egg without the egg getting bigger, without the universe getting smaller? He tells him, Hisham, answer is simple. Ibn Rasulullah, what do you mean answer is simple? He tells him, Hisham, do you have senses? Do you have faculties? He tells him, yes. Name them to me. I have the power of hearing. I have the power of smelling. I have the power of seeing. I have the power of touching. And I have the power of tasting. He tells him, what's the smallest of your senses? He tells him, my eye. He tells him, what do you do with this eye? He tells him, I see the sky, I see the universe, I see trees, I see people walking, I see everything in this eye, Ya ibn Rasulullah. He tells him, then if this Lord of yours is able to fit the universe into your eye, being smaller than an egg, do you think he's not able to fit it into an egg being smaller than your eye? A bizarre question, egg, universe, fit it, larger. It's a crazy question. He answers it with logic. Why? Because he has the answers to it. And through asking questions, I will be able to attain certainty, just like Ibrahim alayhi salam did. Throughout these 10 nights of Ramadan, inshallah, brothers and sisters, I have been blessed to be a part of this community for these 10 nights, to be able to see these beautiful brothers and sisters and to come and to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to do tasbih and to do dua of Allah. This is a great blessing from Allah, and I can't ask for anything better. It's my honor to be here throughout these 10 nights, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it from us. Throughout these 10 nights, inshallah, we'll be covering a series of lectures. Lectures which make it clear to you and I that we have been created with a pure nature, yet we have drifted slowly away from it. We have built and constructed barriers between us and Allah. Throughout these 10 nights, we'll be explaining how to destroy these barriers between us and Allah. And this series is titled From Self-Occupation to Self-Liberation, the stages of self-liberation. How can I liberate myself in which I become a confident Muslim? And the stages have been categorized into 3. Number 1, self-realization. That I pave a path of self-realization and I know who I am. Because one of the biggest problems isn't if I don't know the people around me, it's if I don't know who I am as a human being. And this can be categorized into 2 parts. In studying the physical and spiritual components of the human being. Because as an insan, we have been made of 3 parts. Soul, body, and a self. Nafs, ruh, and jasad. These 3 elements have come together to comprise this human being. Throughout these nights, the first stage will be discussing who are we as a human being and what's our purpose, so that I can be a confident Muslim. That I'm walking throughout the streets and non-Islamic behavior and non-Islamic attire is wherever I look, I can still maintain this religion. I'm in the high school, everybody's non-Muslim. I want to become the strongest of Muslims where I reflect the message of Al-Muhammad. Number 1, to know who I am as a human being. Self-realization. Number 2, after I've attained the level of self-realization, I move on to self-purification. That I now know Allah. I know myself. But there still are barriers between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which hinder my progress and proximity to attaining a true ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where Allah refers to in the whole Quran, كَلَّا بَلْ رَانَتْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Or in another verse, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Do they not contemplate the Quran? Or have there been locks, master locks, placed on this heart? What are these locks? How can we destroy them? How can we rip and shatter those veils? We'll be able to describe that. And what are the mediums and tools to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Number 2. And number 3, after I've paved the path of who I am, and I have been able to understand practical methods and ways of breaking and shattering these barriers between me and Allah, I now begin to feel the enjoyment of becoming a mu'min. I now begin to taste the fruits that have become ripened through ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I become a happy human being. I become certain with my beliefs. The stage of self-liberation. And once I pass these 3 stages, I'll become a confident Muslim. I'll become one who doesn't care if the world is against me. And I'll reflect the teachings of Al-Muhammad in a way which I'm confident in my beliefs. Yet these 3 stages, and I conclude with this point, these 3 stages are all preliminary steps to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if there's one thing that gave strength to Ahlul Bayt, sometimes I think to myself, why are Ahlul Bayt so strong? Why are Ahlul Bayt so strong? Why are they invincible? Why is it that they're able to defeat armies that are unbelievably more than them? Imam Hussein alayhi salam, excellent example in Karbala. How many people did he have? 72. How many people was he facing? 30,000. Now somebody comes and asks, how in God's name was Imam Hussein able to defeat an army of 30,000? Not physically, because Imam Hussein didn't go to Karbala to win a physical war. He went to send a message that today I'm not remembering Shibr on this pulpit. I'm not remembering Yazid ibn Muawiyah. I'm remembering Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. That after 1400 years of his existence, we're still here remembering him. Not only us as Muslims, But even non-Muslims come forward and express to us the greatness of the son of Fatima. People like Gandhi. All of you know who Gandhi is. Gandhi, when he first led his salt march against the British, do you know how much soldiers he took with him? 72. They came and asked him, Gandhi, why did you take 72 with you? And then you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people willing to sacrifice their souls for you, Ya Gandhi. Why did you take 72 with you? Listen to the reply of Gandhi. He says, Imam Hussein ibn Ali took 72 with him, and his message was eternal. I want my message to be eternal as well. Thus, I took the same exact number as Hussein, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. Non-Muslims, Allahumma salli ala. Non-Muslims who come and explain to us the greatness of Imam Hussein. So sometimes I come and ask myself, why was Imam Hussein able to be so strong? Because he had a connection with Allah. Why was Ali ibn Abi Talib able to stand there in front of Amr ibn Wood? Amr ibn Wood was a man who, when he would ride horses, his feet would dangle on the floor. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib stands when Amr ibn Wood is there challenging the companions of Rasulullah. Nobody stands up. He says, who is there to defeat me? I am Amr, the warrior of the Arabs. Who is there to defeat me? Nobody rises. The first time Ali ibn Abi Talib rises, he says, sit down. Your father was my friend in Jahiliyyah. I don't want to kill you. Imam Ali ibn Talib was a young man. A young man, 20 years old. Very young man. He steps forward to Amr and he tells him, you don't want to kill me, I want to kill you. As in, who cares you want to kill me or not? I'm there to defeat you. Sometimes I think to myself, how can I be like Ali ibn Abi Talib? That the world is going against you, it doesn't matter. It was no other than the spiritual, not the physical strength of Ahlul Bayt. You find many youth today, they're emphasizing on pumping iron, emphasizing on juicing up. Excellent, very good, more power to you. Yet is this the strength that Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam were able to have? Is it? I don't recall remembering reading one hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib going to Planet Fitness or going to LA Gym. I don't remember reading one hadith. I don't know, maybe if you've read, you can come and correct me. But I haven't read one hadith. Yet still, he was Qattal al-Arab. Still, he was al-Faruq al-Akbar. Still, he was able to be a Nabi al-Azim. Why? Because of his spiritual strength, not his physical strength. And I conclude with this. They enter the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib after the battle of Khaybar. They come into the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib. The same person who just detached the door which 40 people weren't able to detach, they find him sitting down with a hard piece of bread in his hand, struggling to break it on his knee. The same person that just disassembled the door that 40 Jewish men weren't able to disassemble is there struggling to break a piece of bread. They tell him, Ya Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, أَأَنْتَ الَّذِي قَلَعْتَ بَابَ خَيْبَرَ? Aren't you the one who just detached the door of Khaybar? What's going on? What's the situation? Listen to the reply of Ali ibn Abi Talib. You and I want to know where Imam got his strength from? In these lines, he defines it to you and I. That if I want to be like Amir al-Mu'mineen, I want to be as strong, as invincible, that he says, if the world was there standing against me, I wouldn't withdraw from battle. Do you know how he was able to do that? In this reply, we're able to know who Ali ibn Abi Talib is. He says, قَلَعْتُ بَابَ خَيْبَرًا لَيْسَ بِقُوَّةٍ جَسَدِيَّةٍ بَلْ بِقُوَّةٍ رَوْحَانِيَّةٍ. He says, I detached the door of Khaybar not through my physical strength, but through my spiritual strength. Why was he able to have this spiritual strength? Because he shattered the barriers and ripped the veils between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Throughout this month, we're going to attempt to discuss how can we shatter these veils. How can we break these barriers between us and Allah, where we begin to have true ma'rifah of Him. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وتجعلنا بها من القادة إلى سبيلك. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم إنا نسألك بجاه الحسين الشهيد إلا قضيت لنا حوائجنا. اللهم اجعل الإخلاص في أعمالنا. اللهم اشفي كل مريض بحق مريض كربلاء زين العابدين يا الله يا الله. والاستجابة الدعاء ودفع البلاء ومات الحاضرين and to hasten the appearance of our 12th and awaited Imam. We recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.